Very good, excellent. So to really round this out, not only to bring Hashem down, but we have to be the har to bring Hashem up, that we will meet together. When? And the answer is? Hayom. Today I have more books if anyone is interested. They are a great gift.
That was an amazing preparation of sources. I don't know how much time that took, but I appreciate it so much.
You recommended a book that I Berkowitz book, and I never wrote the name down.
Yes.
5 something.
The 6 constant mitzvahs. You must get it.
Say it again.
The 6 constant mitzvahs.
The 6.
Constant mitzvahs. You must get it.
I will.
Please do.
The 6 not 6. 6 constant.
6 constant
And it's
mitzvahs.
by Rabbi Berkowitz. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
A question. Hashem himself told Abraham to do the Akedah. Why did he listen to a Malach when he's the Malach said no?
Excellent question. That is a
Shavua Tov. Let's learn a little bit today. The end of the Parsha deals with the Akedah. On the third day, Avram raised his eyes, perceived the place from afar. And Avram said to his young men, "Stay here by yourselves with the donkey, while I and the lad will go yonder. We will worship and will return to you." And they go together, and Yitzchak says, "Dad, we're missing something here." And he says, "No, Halokim Yarelo Aseh Lo Labani. Don't worry, God will show us what we need to sacrifice." And then we have the actual putting him on the altar, taking the ram in his stead. And here's the pasuk for us today, pasuk Yudalet. And Avram called the name of that site Hashem Yireh, as it is said this day, on the mountain Hashem will be seen. Now, if you think that pasuk makes any sense, then you can be teaching this today. We know in source number 2 that this name of the place was originally Shalem, right? Melchizedek Melech Shalem. Avraham Avinu calls it Yireh. So Ribono Shalom, the Medrash says, does what? Combines the two together, Yireh Shalem, and hence the city we have the schus to be teaching in right now, Yerushalayim. Here are the questions on our pasuk, source 3. What specifically is Avram saying that Hashem will see? Right? The name of the place is Hashem Yireh. Hashem will see. What exactly is Hashem seeing? What does the sentence begin? Why does the sentence begin referring to Hashem seeing? And then conclude, Asher Yamer Hayom Bahar Hashem Yireh. Hashem will be seen. My question, what day is being referred to by the words this day? This day is just stuck there. Again, the Hebrews in 5, Vayikra Avram Shema Makom Ahu Hashem Yireh, Asher Yamer Hayom Bahar Hashem Yireh. The word Hayom is what? It's just dangling there. What is it doing there? And how is all this connected to the Akedah? That gives us, my friends, a workout for this week, not just this morning. Now, if you take a look at source 4, Rashi, which I'm not going to go through, but it's here for you to look through, it's in English. Rashi, this whole Rashi is just on this pasuk, and he struggles with it. What is Hashem seeing? Hashem should see the Akedah. This should be a place where Hashem is seen in the future by the korbanos that are brought, and let Hashem see the Akedah. We're still left a little bit confused. I want to take a look at a number of levels with the mindset of how does this impact us for life. You know, that which we leave, it's called life, yeah? The first level I'll just make mention of without embellishing on, and the rest we'll develop in Mirz Hashem. Vayivinu b'mikra, source 5. Yesh le've'er dekara l'makom b'shem Hashem Yireh mishum shiratza sheyomar la'atid. Avraham Avinu wanted it to be said in the future, Hayom Bahar Hashem Yireh, that the Maisa of Akedah should be remembered as if it was happening today. And we say this in the Rosh Hashanah davening, and the Zichronos, V'akedes Yitzchak Lozaro Hayom V'rachamim Tiskor. So the idea is, and there are people who say Parshat Akedah every morning. The idea is that Avraham Avinu said, let it be seen. Let the Akedah be seen every single day to feel as if today the Akedah happened, and we should have the schus of the Akedah every day. Good, we said it. Now let's move on. We're going to see quite a number of levels. Usually my style is to start way up there, esoteric, and then to come down, because we have to work our brains, and that, we shouldn't have the same pattern. We're going the exact opposite. We're going to start down here, and we're going to lift off together into higher realms. Source 6. Novinska Rebbe. Why is Har Moriah referred to as a site and then as a mountain? Now, most of us don't pay attention to this, but I want us to. Vayikra Avraham Shem Hamakom Mahu Hashem Yireh. Avraham Avinu calls the name of the place, and it's not referred to, he called the name of the mountain, he called the name of the place. Earlier on, in the psukim I quoted, Avraham Avinu lifted his eyes, Vayar et ha-makom merachok. It doesn't say he saw the mountain from afar, it says he saw the place from afar. So the Medrash Tanhuma says the following, I'm in the bracket in 6. Moriah was not a mountain until that day. What Avraham Avinu saw was a valley. He said, it's not fitting for the Shekhinah to rest in a low place. And he davened that it should be raised. Hashem answered his prayer and made it into Har Moriah. That's why the Torah refers to it as a mountain only after saying Hayom, on this day. Double squiggly. It was from that day of the Akedah that it is said that Hashem will be seen on that mountain. Wow. Let's look at the pasuk because it's wild. Avraham Avinu calls the name of this place Hashem will see. Asher Yamer Hayom. Avraham Avinu said, let it be said from today on, Behar Hashem Yera'eh, on this mountain Hashem will be seen. I.e., on this mountain it will become a place for the Beis HaMikdash, and Hashem will be seen here when we come, Jewish people come and do Aliyah L'Regel, they come to bring korbanos. Now, you'll ask me, why was this necessary? Like mountains, plains. So he brings here from Nassan Adler, and I'm doing it outside, 6 and 7. There's a concept that the Canaanim who lived at that time would go to the high mountains and offer to their idolatry sacrifices. Any mountain which served the idolaters was then unable to be used for Kedusha. They didn't go to plains. It was just too plain for them, right? They went up to mountains and to mountains. So,
And it says that it was a plain before then, and it only became a mountain after the Akedah. Isn't that what it says in the beginning?
yeah. So therefore, no one worshipped on it. Right. So therefore, Avraham Avinu could now consecrate this place. Once it's consecrated for holiness, then even if the idolaters would come afterwards, it's already been secured as a place of holiness. Fascinating. And therefore, Avraham Avinu, continuing in 7, he knew that this was the place where Adam Rishon brought a korban, and Cain and Hevel brought a korban, and Noah built a korban there. He also knew that his actions at this place raised his Kedusha even further. Until now, the site was the place to bring korbanos, but it was not consecrated for the Shekhinah to rest there. That's why the Torah writes, Vayikra et Shem Makom Ahu Hashem Yireh. Until now, it was a place Hashem took pleasure in accepting the korbanos of man, but now it would be a place where the Shekhinah could rest. It went from a makom to a har. Good. I want to take this idea a little bit deeper. Everything that we speak about obviously has so many levels to it. There's obviously a message here about going from a plain to a mountain, aside from the technical reason of the idolaters didn't have a handle on this place. And there's a beautiful insight Rav Brazil gives in Bishvili Nivra Ha'olam in source 8, top right of this page, where he says, he quotes this medrash and he says, Chazal tell us, I'm in the middle of this section, the Gemara in Sukkah, that the Yetzer Hara looks like different things to the wicked people and to tzaddikim. The wicked people, the Yetzer Hara, in retrospect, looks like a hair. And they're like, oh my gosh, it would have been so easy to overcome a hair's breadth, and we couldn't do it. The righteous people look at the Yetzer Hara like a mountain. Oh my gosh, we overcame this? I can't believe this. Avraham Avinu, when he did the Akedah, we know the Satan did his best to what? To thwart his efforts, right? It came like a river, and it came Bao Maim Nafesh, and came to his neck, and he said, Afal PK, nevertheless, and he perseveres. So the mountain imagery here is really a reflection of Avraham Avinu's incredible Mesiras Nefesh to overcome all odds to be able to do this Akedah. So it's not just that it went from flat to great, it is a description almost of what took place psychologically, emotionally, religiously in Avraham Avinu's mind. And the way he describes it here, he says, "V'kan ba'kedah 8 nishtaneh ha'teva ba'ofen shnitalah ha'aretz el kivun ha'shamayim k'mashal shemi shemoneh migdal gadol." V'zeh omer שבנס התהוות הר מוריה נעשה פועל דמיוני שמעשיו של אברהם אבינו בכבישת יצרו גם כן פעלו השפעה למעלה. You see, the imagery is so beautiful. Avraham Avinu's act here is not just a solitary act. It was humongo. That's not an English word, I know that. It was tremendous. And it covered like, wow. Turning it into a mountain is a poel dimioni to express how great this event was. Now, our challenge is to move our lives from a plain to a mountain, every person where they are at. Let's look, excuse me.
This happened before the Akedah?
After the Akedah, after.
After the
I would say not only did it happen after the Akedah, it happened as a result. As a result of the Akedah, yeah.
Oh, Yitzchak had already left.
Well, he hadn't left. He was standing around watching the ram go up and smoke as a barbecue for, yeah.
On the mountain.
On the mountain, yeah. That's a good question. When did it exactly happen? Good question. Yeah, I like your question. I don't know. That's a technical question. I don't deal with technicals, but I like it. I like the question. I don't know. Like, did suddenly they have this lift and they were just lifted into heaven? I don't know. Okay. It's a good question. Just as Yitzchak had been ready to offer himself upon God's altar and to rise anew from God's altar to life. I'm in 9 in the arrow. So are he and his descendants to do, henceforth and forever. They are to commit themselves through their offerings to the same deep faith and the same self-devotion, and they are to realize them in their daily lives. The life of Yitzchak and the lives of his descendants are to become one everlasting act of Akedah. And this is the idea of being seen. 3 times a year we have to be seen at this mountain. And the Torah tells us, the second arrow in 9, V'lo yira'eh panai rekam. You should not be seen there, rekam, literally empty, with mere inner passing devotion, but with the devotion of his whole being and the dedication of his whole existence through the Aliyah L'Regel. Olat Riyah. Anyone who appears on Mount Moriah attaches himself to the offering that Avraham Avinu offered in place of his father. 3 times a year we would come with a korban, but don't just come with a korban, come with yourself with that korban. Bring yourself ready to dedicate yourself entirely to Hashem. So you'll say to me, well, we don't have yet a Beis HaMikdash. How is this relevant for our lives? So Rav Pinkus Zatzal, Tiferet Shimshon in 11 tells us quite clearly, Shegam l'chol Yehudi v'Yehudi yesh et haBeit HaMikdash haPrati shelo. You're right. It's not down there a few kilometers from where we're sitting, but it's right here in this room in many of them. Bilvavi Mishkan Evne. We all are a mini Beis HaMikdash. And our job, Gam HaMikdash Shebelev HaYehudi in the bracket, Nivne u'Mugdash Aidei Mesiras Nefesh. How is our Beis HaMikdash built? Through Mesiras Nefesh. And he says, Ein perusha dafka lehareg al Kiddush Hashem. It's not necessarily about dying al Kiddush Hashem, because only a very few people are worthy of that. Elach nichlela b'zeh gam mesiras nefesh ba'amal haTorah v'kiyum mitzvos. It's living al Kiddush Hashem. And they say that living al Kiddush Hashem is much harder than dying al Kiddush Hashem. To bring this down to our lives as our final idea, level number, this is I call really level number 1, is the idea Rabbi Mansour in Mayan Eliyahu brings in source 12. If you were to be asked, what is the most important word in the Shemona Esrei? Well, my friends, you have a lot to choose from. The Arizal says it's in the first bracha. When we say, Umevi goel livnei v'nehem leman shemo, be'ahava, with love. First bracha, right? Mark this in your Sidurim. In many Sidurim, next to Ba'ava is written, I've never seen this, but I'll trust him, Yechavein limsor nafsho. At that moment of the Amidah, one should have in mind to sacrifice himself for Hashem. Here one makes a commitment to give Hashem at least one Mesiras Nefesh until Mincha time, when you will again say Ba'ava. So it might be in the middle of an important business meeting. A shaliach comes in collecting for money. You drop everything. You donate to his cause. That's Mesiras Nefesh. Breaking from your schedule, give tzedakah. You fulfilled your pledge at Sacred to do an act of Mesiras Nefesh. I'm going to put this into another example. It's the following. You're sitting back, relaxing on your lounge chair with your martini, no, with your drink in hand, coffee in hand, yeah. And you say to yourself, you're leaning back, yeah? And you say to yourself, I'm about to say a bracha. Is it really appropriate to say a bracha what? Leaning back, exactly. You know, you're talking to God. The least I can do is what? Sit up. But come on, I just got into that perfect, comfortable position. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like it's sometimes hard to get into that. And I sit up. I've just done Mesiras Nefesh. Because what is Mesiras Nefesh? It's Mesiras Ratzon. I move my desire for God's desire. So this, I think is very practical, which is unusual for me, but at the same time very important. Every Ba'ava, remind yourself, let me try to give one Mesiras Nefesh to Hashem. I want to say this Lashon Hara, I don't, chalk it up for Mesiras Nefesh. That's building the Beis HaMikdash within. And Rabbeinu, like every time we do that, and for some times it's going to be harder than others, it's building those mountains. It's overcoming those struggles. We have turned our lives into Mount Moriah, from the plain to the mountain. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, good.
I have a question.
Great.
I don't want to take guide stand on me running through my day, praying as I'm trying to catch somebody who's falling, for example, instead of assuming the position that is properly respectful.
Could you put that question in English for me?
Oh, I'm sorry. What do we say about the prayers that we say on the fly?
Are those Mesiras Nefesh you're asking me?
Sure.
It could be, depending on the person. If a person says, I don't have time to daven, there's no way I can do it, and I exert effort that I'm on a crowded bus and I'm still going to daven, for sure that's Mesiras Nefesh.
So it's intention and motivation.
For sure, and it's based on each individual person. Okay, thank you for clarifying for me. Yes?
I think below the Mesiras Nefesh, underlying it is the feeling that Hashem is right here.
Right, so that's a good point.
He's right here, you know.
And you say
Right, so the mindset that we need to have to live a Mesiras Nefesh life is awareness of God's presence, that I'm standing in front of God's presence. And that has to be the motivating factor in making my decisions in life. Can I wake up 10 minutes early and not have to be on the fly to daven? And these are the questions that we need to ask. And again, this is so what? Individualized. Okay, let's move, my friends, because the hour is late and then I run. And then I'm on the fly. Source 13. Here we go. The Grush talks about, this is the second idea, the basis of his comment is a medrash, which states that initially the divine presence resided in this world. However, as a result of Adam's sin, to distance himself from this world, ascended heavenward. And then it got worse and worse. You ever heard of the idea of seventh heaven? Well, there was 7 levels until Hashem went back up to the 7th heaven. However, Avram Avinu brought about a turning point in this squiggly, bringing divine presence 1 level closer. And the next 6 generations bringing it closer still until the days of Moshe, the divine presence had returned to reside in the world below. This is how he divides it up. The verse begins by saying that Avram called the place Hashem will see, reflecting his achievement in bringing the divine presence closer to the world, so that all may know that Hashem sees and supervises the event of this world. Hashem Yireh is Avram Avinu saying, I've moved Hashem 1 step closer, and he sees what's going on in this world. The concluding words of the pasuk are not of Avram Avinu. Asher Yamer Hayom Bahar Hashem Yireh is not Avram Avinu speaking. Who's speaking? The Torah speaking. The concluding words of the verse are those of the Torah itself, as it proceeds to describe how that process, initiated by Abraham, was concluded 6 generations later in Moshe's days. Thus it says, which today being which day? The day the Torah was given, may be said, as Hashem can be seen on the mountain. In other words, today is the Torah referring to when the Torah had been given at Mount Sinai, where the people apprehended a vision of God's glory in the culmination of the process, which began as Hashem seeing in Avram Avinu's time. And the mountain may not necessarily be Har Moriah. It may be Har Sinai. Wow. Fascinating. That's the complexity of learning. It went beyond an event. It began a process which ended in giving of the Torah. What was so great about the Akedah that brought Hashem 1 level down? So he describes here on Bernstein in source 15, the idea that the Akedah was about, let's see 16, and I'll go back to 15. What the Meshech Chochmah says, what is it that came from the Akedah? When Yitzchak allowed himself to be brought as an offering and was prepared to nullify his entire existence in response to Hashem's command, this yielded within his nature the absolute alignment of his will with that of Hashem, and it became an inherent quality which he bequeathed to his descendants, which means that now the nature of every Jew, this is part of our genetic DNA, is we want to do the will of God. That's that famous Rambam that a forced divorce document is considered legal and binding, even though a divorce document has to be given with will. Because ultimately every Jew's will is to do the will of God. Where did we get that from? And the answer is the Akedah. And that's what it means to bring God's nature down, where our will is aligned to God in a very real way. So in 17, this says the Meshech Chochmah is the meaning of the name that Avraham Avinu gave to the mountain upon completing the Akedah. Hashem will see. With this, Avram was praying that he should always see the essential nature of the Jewish people, which was set, and judge them accordingly. What will Hashem see? Hashem look at who we really are. And he says that is what it means on Rosh Hashanah and throughout the year when we say, Hashem, remember the Akedah. It's not just remembering the act that Avraham Avinu did and Yitzchak was prepared to do. It's remember what came as a result of that we are inherently aligned with your will. Look at that, Hashem, and judge our deeds in that light. And this, just to conclude this level, in 18, is what the Nesivos Shalom speaks about, a Hasidic idea in the bracket. The pasuk says, "Shuva Yisrael Hashem Elokecha ki kashalta bavonecha." Return to God because you have stumbled on your sin. Avon is a sin you've done on purpose. Hey, you trip at somebody's feet at a wedding. You don't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I meant to trip on your feet." You don't say that. You say, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to trip on your feet." How can you say, "Oh, so Hashem, I'm so sorry, I meant to sin"? It doesn't make what? Ki kashalta, I stumbled, and I did it on purpose. So says in the Nesivos Shalom, there's many answers to this. Bracket. Ki kol ma shiyudi choteh eino be'etzem ela kishalon. Anytime a Jew sins, it's a stumbling act. Why? Listen to this. Ki nishmato shel yodi hu chelek Eloka mimal. Our neshamas are part of Hashem. Ve'ein adam chotel im kein nichtas sabarul shtut. The only reason I sin is because a moment of foolishness entered into me. Here goes. Ish Yehudi einenu mesugal lachto. We are not capable of sinning only if we just lost our minds. Even when we sin on purpose. Now, are you held responsible? Is there accountability? Yes. At the same time, Hashem looks down and says, what? I know deep down, this isn't what you want to do. You know, it'd be like kids. Remember kids? Kids will do things that aren't so smart. And they're wrong. But you know deep down, this is what? This is their foolishness. They're just acting like a what? A kid. Ah, they did it on purpose? Yeah, they did. But it's a kid's game. My favorite thing, this had nothing to do with anything that was ever done to me. I'm very connected to this world, but I'm really not. Up in the clouds. I taught many years ago in a school where the kids would bring me a cup of water. It wasn't in a clear cup, it was in like a coffee cup, yeah? And I would just, without looking, just drink. Rosh Chodesh Adar, they put fish in the cup. The administration, however, knew what type of teacher they were dealing with. And near the cup of water was a little note. Look before you drink. Oh, okay, I don't think I'm so thirsty today. Something's a little fishy about this cup. The kids are kids.
That's where the word nourish comes from.
That's where nourishkeit comes from. They're a nar, exactly. Nourishkeit, exactly. And we could be 80 years old and still have nourishkeit. It's not about age. Okay? Where does this come from? That we really want to do the will of Hashem? Akedah. Hashem Yirah. Hashem see Yitzchak Avinu and Avraham Avinu were ready to do your will without questions. That is part of our genetic DNA. And recognize that. the flip side I'll just add is we need to recognize that. We need to realize how alarmed we are. We need to realize, I'm gonna, the example, just take it one step further, that Rav Pinkus and Sichos Musar of Chaim Shlavitz, just developing ideas. He says, we've all been to the kotel, we've seen kalos. Do you know what I'm talking about? They go on the day of their wedding, they go to the kotel, they daven. Imagine the following scenario. Kala is in the taxi. She gets out of the taxi, and without looking, she steps into bolts, into mud. And it splatters. How does she feel? You got it. Elokai neshama shenasata bi, tahorahi, atavrata, tayitzarta, tanefachta bi. Our neshama is pure. That's who we are. And we have to recognize that if I realize how pure it was, I would be careful to see that I don't step into the mud. Am I making sense? I'll just add a parenthesis, and I'll take the comment. I remember, this has really nothing to do with anything. When I was expecting both kids, I had a friend, Kanai Nahara has a tribe, who was pregnant the year before and lent me all of her maternity clothes, which was, it was such a Musar lesson. These are not my clothes. You have to take care of them with such care. And it was such an experience. Shira, your neshama is given to you as a gift. Are you taking as good care of it as these clothes? Wow. Question.
Just actually a comment about a parent's responsibility to help this process along so that the child...
For sure. I love it. The parents have this responsibility, and that's what chinuch is. Chinuch is not telling the children what to do. Chinuch is allowing the children to own making the correct decisions. 100%. Well stated. Okay, my friends, we're up to level number 3. Number 1, the plain became a mountain. Bahar Hashem Yira'eh. And this is when we overcome our struggles. But Ahava, we become greater, we become bigger. So in a nutshell, what are we doing here? We're turning from Flat Stanley. Do any of you know that imagery? It's okay, you're not missing much. Into a mountain. To the 2 parts. Avram Avinu is bringing Hashem down, one of the 7 spheres. Today, already we can say he is what? Down here. This is the beginning of the process we're in. We became genetically wired to have that alignment with Hashem and the realization of Hashem's presence here. So those are the 2 levels we've spoken about so far. Idea 3, source 20, the Chazon Sofer. This pasuk depicts the great intimacy that exists between Hashem and the Jewish people, reminiscent of Shlomo Melech's Ani l'dodi v'dodi li. I am for my beloved is for me. The words Hashem Yireh, from the root Ra'ah, and as just we'll make note in source 19, this echoes when Avraham Avinu said, Hashem Yireh lo haseh lo la b'nei. So the idea of seeing is already heard. It's like an echo back to that conversation. You see, indeed, Hashem saw it. You don't have to worry. Our Avram's prayer, beseeching Hashem to appear to his descendants in so open a fashion, they'll be easy to comprehend his ways. So we ask, Hashem will see. What does it mean, Hashem will see? It means that we will be able to see and feel Hashem's closeness to us. In return, Israel must appear before Hashem by traveling to his holy mount. Only there can we come so close to him that we'll actually feel that he has appeared to us. It is noteworthy, while Hashem's protection of us is constant, our presence before him requires continuous revitalization, as indicated by the words Asher Yamer Hayom, which is said this day, Every day, Jews must renew their relationship with their Creator. This is such a beautiful idea. On level number 3, Asher Yamer Hayom. Again, we're moving away from Shat into more of an esoteric idea. Every day, we have to renew our relationship with Hashem. We have to see Hashem and be seen by Hashem. And that, my friends, is echoed, 21, in Moda'ani. When we say Moda'ani L'fanecha, we end with Rabba Emunasecha. Abundant is your faithfulness. The simple, standing a little above the asterisk of these words, is that we're praising God. Hashem is the one on whom we can rely. An alternative explanation is Hashem has great faith in us. The fact that He gives us and returns to us such a holy neshama speaks volumes about the inherent greatness we possess and can achieve. We just need to believe in our own potential. If we really believe that Hashem is here and He's granted me a new day, then the question I have to ask myself is, what am I doing today that was different yesterday? How am I living today that will make Hashem proud of me? And strengthening that relationship. Go ahead.
So I'm wondering about something because we have Yira also, obviously from the same shorish. So is it possible that those are the steps to also get to Yiras Hashem? Because that's what Abraham and Yitzchak were able to do.
Right,
also
so
in
the
that
question
moment.
is, what's the interrelationship between the words Re'iyah and Yirah, and is one the stepping stone for the other? And the answer is absolutely. And this Rav Soloveitchik Zatzal brings in a Sefer Yemei Zikaron, that really Yiras Hashem is feeling the awe and majesty of Hashem in our lives, and the medium to do so is to find Hashem at every moment, to see Hashem, which is really the theme of today. The more awareness I have, I will live a what? A different life. Now, just to add to this idea in 32, to add this idea is at 33. Rav Kestenbaum says when a person dines at an expensive restaurant, how does he eat his serving? Does he wolf it down as fast as he can? No, he savors it. Tamur'u ki tov Hashem. To experience the goodness of connection to Hashem, a person needs to taste the mitzvah by focusing and not rushing through it. If he swallows the mitzvah, he may not enjoy the experience. You know, and I say this to my students frequently. Sometimes we think in order to work on a relationship with Hashem, we have to be bigger and better, which is true. At the same time, that which we are already doing, do with more focus. You're saying the bracha anyway. Say it with kavanah. You're doing it anyway. Just do it with connection. Okay. Now, my friends, we have come to the main course. This was just the entree. And here is where I wanted to go today. We have plenty of time. Sit back. Don't sit back. Don't sit back. This is our workout. Yesiva Shalom 34. There are a number of Aramaic translations to the Chumash. Targum Onkelos is the most famous. Then there's Targum Yonasan, and there's also Targum Yerushalmi. Each Aramaic translation doesn't just translate, they also simultaneously explain. Listen to the Targum Yerushalmi, 5 lines down. V'tzali Avraham va'amar, Atu Hashem dechame v'lo mischame. What does the mountain Hashem Yireh mean? Listen closely. Hashem, you are the one who sees, but is not seen. Let me explain to you what this means. He explains, the Kajitzer Magid, that when a person goes through a nisayon, a challenge, and again, there's a continuum of challenges, a person feels bereft and all alone. all those levels that they had worked on throughout their life, it feels like I'm holding on to nothing. And I feel like my connection with Hashem is like, where is he? And he says this is what, in the bracket, what Avram Avinu felt. Vayar et hamakom merachok. He saw the place from afar. Makom is not just place, it's also a name of Hashem. Vayar et hamakom merachok. He felt Hashem was far from him. He was struggling. Am I doing the right thing? Am I not? He felt alone. That's why he says to the Na'arim, who Chazal say are Eliezer and Yishmael, Shvu lachem poim achamor v'aniva nar nachal kol v'nashuva v'ishtecha v'nashuva lechem. Just like when Lot was with him, Hashem did not appear to him. Lot was an interference. He thought maybe the Na'arim are what? Are creating an interference, and therefore Hashem's not coming to me. You stay here. And he's waiting for what? Feeling that connection. Like, Hashem, are you here? Am I going through this alone? Like, what's going on here? Yeah.
He also left the chamor with the chumrius.
Yes, 100%. He left the chamor with the chumrius 1,000%. At that moment, when the malach comes down, as the Sefer Achri L'Tfuah says so beautifully, the moment he has a knife in his hand and Hashem's malach comes down to stop, that was a moment of one of the most intense hashgacha prati moments of Avraham Avinu's life. He saw so clearly Hashem must be here, because it wasn't a moment earlier and it wasn't, thank God, a moment later. At that moment, he says, whoa. When the Nisayon is over, that I can tell you, it's when the Nisayon is over, he's able to step back and say, this is a lesson I learned. Hashem Yireh. He is emblazing in this place for history this lesson, that when you go through a Nisayon and you think you're all by yourself, no, Dechame v'lo mischame. Hashem sees, you're right, he is not seen. He's often not even felt. But know for sure that he's what? He's there. And this is very similar in 36 to the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh on the Pasuk, Vanochi astir astir, and I will surely hide my face, that Kadosh Baruch Hu is in the Anochi. I'm hiding my face. But who's the I? God. In these challenges, Hashem is there. 37a and 37b, this is true, Zoe Galud HaKlal, V'zeh Galud HaPrat. This is when we feel the exile on a communal level and the exile on a personal level. L'chol inyan nisyonos, right? We're calling on nisayon like an exile because I feel what? Disconnected is the best word. Excellent. Nisyonos haklav, nisyonos haprat. And we know, Chazal tell us that we went into Bavel, Hashem went with us. Wherever we went, Shechina was with us. And that's what we need to understand. That even though we don't feel it, in the arrow in 37b, Shala Olam Ein HaKadosh Baruch Hu Me'asir Hashgachat Pratit Ve'kirvato Miyudi. Hashem never removes his closeness to a Jew. V'chol harichu ki rak belevushi, aval b'pnimis ha'inyanim ein shum shinui. It's what we feel. It's what it looks like, but intrinsically, inherently, Hashem is there. 38. V'zeh manash sha'anu mevakshim. This gives us an insight in Be'er Tefillah. We daven to Hashem and Stim Shalom. Barchenu avinu kulanu ke'echad be'or panecha. Hashem, our Father, bless us collectively. What do we want from you? One thing. Or panecha, the light of your face. Ki kol ha'yisurim sheyudi heimas terim. When we go through challenges, it's because we feel a hester, we feel concealment. Sheinenu margish et Hashem barach or margish atzmo rachok mitoy barach. We feel so far from Hashem. And that's why we turn to Hashem as Avinu, my father. When we feel that closeness, that Hashem is our Father and He's with us, then we're not missing anything. And I quote here a beautiful idea, Maran Milochvitz, who says on the Pasuk, the land is a mess, abyss, darkness, and Hashem says, let there be light, and there was light. When a Jew asks Hashem in a time of darkness, he says, Ribono Shalom, Yehi Or, shine a light on me, Vahi Or. That's really the tefillah we have in the times of challenges, that we should feel Hashem's closeness. Let's take this further. My Soul Desire, Volume 3, Rabbi Kluger. The Torah tells us that when Yaakov Avinu was going down to see Yosef, at the beginning of the exile, Kadosh Baruch Hu says to him, have no fear of descending to Mitzrayim, for I'll establish you as a great nation there. I shall descend with you to Mitzrayim, and I shall surely bring you up. Hashem was giving Yaakov Chizuk, revealing to him the secret of what would grant OUisrael the strength to withstand all the trials of exile. In the most difficult times, we should know and remember, Hashem is right there with us. I shall descend with you, I shall bring you up. I'm coming along with you. It is I who orchestrates the times of grueling descent too, for the purpose of leading you to your rectification and to elevate you to a higher level. A major part of difficulty we've experienced when we're facing challenges and suffering is the fright that overcomes us, the feeling of helplessness and dread as we contemplate the uncertain future. When a person finds himself in a difficult situation, the reason he's in such strait is because he feels Hashem Lo Aleinu has abandoned him. He cannot help but worry about the future. No, you're not alone. I'm the one who put you down here. I'm the one who's holding on to you. You're not alone. There's a pasuk in 139:12 in Tehillim that says, Laila Kayom Yair. I'm at the end of 41. Darkness and light are the same. The same. Laila Kayom Yair. Well, work with me a second, you'll be happy you came today. To Kadosh Baruch Hu, there's no difference between darkness and light. The concept of darkness does not exist for him at all. There are times when it appears to us we're shrouded in darkness, but we have to remember, darkness and light are the same. 32. HaKadosh Baruch Hu alone forms light and darkness. There's no one other than him. What does this mean? So it's an idea we've done before that we could do over and over again because it's so deep and so real. And that's Rabbi Zucker in 43a. The world was astonishingly empty with darkness. Implies that the darkness was the first thing to exist. Right? And then Hashem said, let there be light. It implies the higher reality because in truth, there is no darkness. Hashem's infinite light. So there only can be light. But there are two types of light, revealed and hidden. To find the hidden light, one must first search for it. It can only be found in the darkness. The darkness is like a protective shell holding in the light. And the greater the darkness, the greater the light that can be found within. Light, as normally understood, is the light which is open and revealed to us, whereas darkness is in essence hidden light, as yet unperceived. This light is much greater light and needs to be hidden. It needs to be discovered. That sounds a little bit up there. I told you it was going up there. Let me bring it down a little bit.
Wait, didn't this just happen to the hospital?
That's what I wanted to talk about. How did you know? It's exactly what I wanted to talk about. This is the way the hostages described the situation. You hit the nail on the head. We're in the most real darkness, and the way they described it, we've all heard them describing it as being in a place where they can't even move their hand outward, and they couldn't see the shadow of their hand. We're talking about what? Real darkness that we can't even wrap our heads around, right? In that darkness, what did they say? They found Hashem. They found the light. It's exactly what we experienced. Because I have a little secret to tell you. Makat Choshech, according to many of the Sfarim, was not the plague of darkness. It was a plague of such intense light, they were blinded by it.
Jews were blinded or
The Egyptians were blinded by it, excellent, and the Jews were able to use that light to find the treasures. Excellent question. We've seen this. Any of you who drive and you have the sun coming right at you at a certain angle, any of you have been in that situation? OMG, you can't drive. I mean, you are driving, but you can't drive. Why? Here's the word. You are blinded by the sun. You're blinded. But you can see. And it's light. And it's not darkness. Spiritually, and this is really intense, there is no darkness. Hashem is all light. What we experience as darkness is the concealment of that higher light. And this is one of the reasons Rabbi Zucker says, well, let's see it, and then I'll see it in 43b in the squigglies. This second type of light is first perceived as darkness because the light hidden within is so radiant as to be blinding. The light needs to be hidden in darkness, so we'll strive to reveal it with our avodah. And this is one of the ideas why we cover our eyes when we say Shema. That we are able to enter into that world of darkness, which is really a world of light, which is the world of Hashem Echad, the unification of God. And that Ein Od Milvado, nothing else exists. Putting this into English a little bit more, and then I want to do one final idea. 44. There's no such thing, going back to Rabbi Kluger, as a Jew who is distant, abandoned, inferior. Hashem is the one who gives us our nisyonos. And He's always there right with us. Hashem is with us in times of darkness as in times of light, because darkness and light are the same. We need only remember this. Remember that there's nothing other than a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem created all the confusion of this world. He conceals Himself there and waits for us to find Him and prove to Him how firmly we believe that there's nothing at all but Him. So when we feel so alone, we have entered into the higher level of darkness. And the point of a nisayon is to find Hashem there, that He sees, albeit is not seen, until we break through that outer shell and say, you've been here all along.
Is that like the nace? I mean, Nisayon and nace, right? They share.
Good. So Nisayon and nace share the same, and there's a lot of Torah on this. Nisayon is a challenge, nace is a miracle, and nace is also a banner to lift up. So that when you go through the miracle, the challenge, which is miraculous, you have lifted yourself up into a different dimension.
And also Hashem's name has been lifted.
And Hashem's name has been lifted up. Okay, go ahead.
I never thought of it as a sort of chinuch, that if we could only teach our children how comforting it is to be in the dark.
It's an interesting comment Robinson's making. If we could teach our children to be comforted in the dark and not to be afraid and to be able to see the light in the darkness, it would be a gift for life. Yeah, very well stated. Okay, my friends, here I am. 5 minutes to go, 1 page left. Not so bad, we're doing pretty good today. It looks like a lot of Hebrew scrunched together on a little page. So I'm going to do it outside, but at the same time, it's here so that you'll see that I'm not making it up. Okay? That's fair, yeah? Not that you will ever accuse me of making something up, but... Pinchas Friedman, Shlita, Rosh Yeshiva in Belz, in his Shvili Pinchas, years Tavshin Samech Tet, a few years back. It's a gewaltic idea. We've been talking about Hashem Yireh, but we haven't talked about on this level the word Hayom. Where does Hayom fit in today? So he speaks about, and again, I'm moving even higher than I've already been. So you're really going to have to stretch now. When Adam Harishon sinned by eating of the fruit, what he really did was to distance Hashem from the world. Hashem was up close personal, and he moved Hashem away. Kabbalistically, how do they describe this? He took the name of Hashem, which is found in Sefer Breshit, at the beginning, Hashem Elohim, and separated the names. Let me explain. The name Hashem is the Yud, K, Vav, K. Instead of the Kuf, it's a Hey. He separated it in half. The Yud, K, the Yud and the Hey, and the Vav and the Hey. The Yud, Hey is down here. The Vav, Hey went bye-bye. Elohim, he split. Elohim is Aleph, Lamed, Hey, Yud, Mem. Split it in half. The Aleph, Lamed, Hey stayed down here. The Mem, Yud disappeared. What does this mean? I'm going to explain to you. Just relax. I'll try. Take the letters that got pushed away from this world. You have the Vav, Hey in Yud, K, Vav, K, and the Mem, Yud in Yud, Mem in Elohim. Take those letters, and what do you have spelled out? The word Hayom. Hey, Yud, Vav, Mem, Hayom. If I had a board, it would be easier, but you have to write it down, and don't write Hashem's name. The Hey, Hayom. This explains why when Adam Harishon hears Hashem's voice in the garden, he hears it L'ruach Hayom, to the wind of the day. What he's hearing is the echo of those letters saying, you have basically had us what? Fly away. And hence we can appreciate when Rav Shua ben Levi meets Mashiach, and he says, could you tell me when you're showing up? And he answers one word, Hayom. When you bring down those letters, I'm here. We say it in our davening. This is our third reference. We had Ba'ava, Barchenu Avinu, Bor Panecha, and now L'shuascha Kivinu Kol Hayom. We yearn for you the entire day. When our focus is on the Hayom, Hashem will show up. Now you'll ask me, well, what does that mean? So I'll try to explain it to you. In 47, double squiggly, the Roshei Tevot of the Pasuk in Tehillim, Yismachu Hashamayim, let the heavens rejoice, V'sagel ha'aretz, and let the earth rejoice, is the Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. You see it in the squiggly in 47, Yismachu Hashamayim, V'sagel ha'aretz. The Yismachu Hashamayim, that Hashem rejoices in heaven, we all know that. But the V'sagel ha'aretz, to feel Hashem rejoicing down here, is missing. That's the war of Amalek. Milchama Hashem ba'Amalek midor dor, ki yad el kes ka. It's the Yud K. That's the war of Amalek. Don't have Hashem down here. You want Hashem in heaven? Enjoy. But don't bring him down where? As a reality in your life. And likewise, the Eila is, you see the miracles of Hashem? Great. But me bara Eila, me, who created these things? Paro, me Hashem Asher Shema B'Kolo. We don't see it in nature. We see Hashem perhaps more in the miraculous, right? When you hear these stories of, the guy who's davening mincha and the mechablim were coming from that way and he saves the group. Those you see God. But to see God in the fact that I can walk and talk and function, that's a much harder thing. I'll just add here in parentheses and then I'm going to round this up. He gives this maimer in connection to Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is called Hayom. If you remember, it wasn't so long ago, when we end the Rosh Hashanah Musaf, I know we're tired, but when we end it, what's the last piyut? Hayom tivarchenu, Hayom titzvichenu b'mintzikecha, Hayom. Don't worry, I'm not singing it, but you got the Hayom. Why so many times Hayom? Because what's the goal of Rosh Hashanah? To bring Hashem into our lives. That's Malchios. And that's why the sounds of the shofar, listen closely, Truah, Tafresh Ayin, the breaking of the Vav Hey has to be rectified. The Yud Kei Vav Kei. Shvarim, the Shever, the brokenness of the Yud Mem has to be rectified. Truah and Shvarim are bringing us back to Hayom. Did I lose you?
So, no, you didn't lose me at all, but I'm just thinking, but what happens with the sneh? At the sneh, Hashem tells Moshe when he asks, what name should I tell them? He says, yeah, Shira, yeah. So there's the reunification of Hashem's name with the emergence of the Jewish people at Har Sinai.
100%. And why that name is used is also fascinating. Good. Now we come to our story, which we haven't forgotten. What was Avram Avinu trying to do by the Akedah? Bring Hashem down. How does he memorialize this experience that I'm bringing Hashem into our lives and let it be seen? It's really a culmination of all the levels. Let it be seen that Hashem is here, and know that even if you can't see Hashem, the Sagel Haaretz, me, Hashem is here, me, Bara Elah, he is right here. How does he concretize this? By saying what? In the last final arrow in 50, Asher Yamer Hayom Behar Hashem Yira'eh. Hayom. That we have to realize that Hashem is here. This is what Avram Avinu was trying to do, and that's why in Rosh Hashanah, when we end Zichronos, Vakedes Yitzchak Lizaro Hayom Berachamim Tiskor, you have to remember the concept of Hayom, of finding Hashem up close, personal in your life. Rebbe said.